So, first, before I start the video, I did want to say I'm sorry. I haven't posted in a few days, and I never really gave a reason as to why. But honestly, the biggest reason why I was away was uh, because I had, some things pending which didn't allow me to make videos. A very busy week, very busy, you know, time, and it literally did not allow me like an inch of time to make these. So I'm sorry. I will now obviously go back and keep making them. So I just wanted to excuse myself for that. But what I do want to say is that Anthony Edwards has been going crazy. I've been paying attention to the playoffs, obviously. And even though I haven't gotten to make videos about every single thing that's going on, I have gotten to see how these series are shaping up. Obviously, the second round is already underway, and a few of the things which I noticed are first, Boston obviously beat the Cavaliers. Boston played amazingly, and they won by 25 points. And in my opinion, there was a real disconnect right there with the way that Boston was handling themselves and the way that Cleveland was handling themselves. Boston just looked in form. Jaylen Brown had a great game. And it seems like Cleveland is just not going to be able to produce enough offense to win. I don't think the two big man system is going to work for playoff success, because even though, let's say, some of the most successful teams in the playoffs right now, like Minnesota, like the Nuggets, or even a team like the Knicks do run two big men sometimes and they have two competent big men, or even the Pacers, I do believe that they have big men which are dynamic. And until you get two big men, one which could shoot or run a small ball, get a four which you can sub in, which can space the floor, I feel like it honestly makes it much harder to win when you have two traditional centers in your squad as opposed to having maybe a stretch four which you could fill that position and open up your offense for Donovan Mitchell. The Cleveland Cavaliers, I think they're either going to get swept. Maybe it goes to six at most, and that's if the Celtics do the Celtics thing and choke some games. But I don't think that this series is going to be all that. Honestly, both of these teams are great, and we really just need to appreciate the fact that the Cavaliers passed to the second round. Thank God for the Magic being there, because if not, the Cavaliers, I don't think they would have done much. Secondly, I want to talk about this Knicks Pacers series. Well, no, let me talk about the Thunder and Mavericks first, actually. The Thunder and Mavericks has been a great series so far. I mean, they only have one game, but the Thunder won, which is something surprising. They do have home court advantage, and obviously, those young guys really like playing in OKC. And it's been a kind of a recurring theme for them to always be on top of the pack and always be there, pushing, going forward, and being able to consistently play their style of offense in the playoffs. OKC is actually scoring a lot of points per game. And in my opinion, the biggest reason as to why they're scoring so much is because they have the the team to do so. They have the playoff performers like Shea, which I didn't know he was a playoff performer until this year. They had a bunch of really great guys around them, and they have a bunch of young dudes which are fearless, which have been completely just destroying other teams. And now it looks scary for Dallas, even though I do think they're gonna win because of experience and coaching. Even though I do think that OKC's coaching is better, I think that Dallas just has the personnel to win. For the other two series, and the reason why I saved them for last was because they're the most interesting, is first, that Knicks versus Pacers series. The Knicks have won both games. They've been extremely close, And I think that Jalen Brunson might be one of the greatest playoff performers of all time if he can do this every single season. I don't know how in God's name does he do it, but he consistently is putting up ridiculous statistics versus every team. Like, he was having a down game versus Indiana yesterday that I was watching the games. And by the way, he averages 17 points in the regular season and 23 points in the playoffs. And this year, he averaged 28 in the regular season and 36 in the playoffs. But he was having a pretty bad game, and then he scored like 15 points just in the fourth quarter just to make the game close and make it, like kind of competitive well, not kind of competitive, but make it competitive and win them the game eventually. Then for the other games, he scored 40 in basically every game, in exception of a few. And he's been just the best player on the planet. I think that their 6-man rotation is playing better than most people's 10-man. But I do think that this team is going to eventually flame out. As much as I like the Knicks, as much as I like how they play, and Jesus Christ, I love how they play. And I really want to say this. Like, the Knicks play a style of basketball which is beautiful. It is so nice. It is so consistent. They are 100% effort all the time. It could be the start of the game or the end of the game, but they're going to dive for loose balls. They're going to get up there. They're going to play as a team. And honestly, if for any other season, the team and the roster which they have is not enough to do the things that they're doing right now. That Pacers team is much more offensively talented than they are. And they are honestly short-manned. They play 6 dudes every night. And OG Anunoby hurt his hamstring. Well, he got soreness and had to leave the game a bit early. So what the Knicks are doing, they've beat the Pacers twice, 2 close games in New York. So let's see how the series swings when they go back to Indiana. I do think Indy will make it competitive. But Jesus, New York's been playing their butt off, and I think it's paying off in the right way. Finally, I'm going to talk about the most interesting series and the player which has just become the playoffs' best player. Let's talk about Anthony Edwards. Look, Anthony Edwards is the guy of the NBA right now. Obviously, and I just want to say this, in life in general, and this is not advice or trying to be inspirational, but it's true. In life, winning is rewarded. Like, whoever wins is looked at as better. Whoever loses is normally looked down upon. And Jesus, the Timberwolves are winning. In the first 2 games of this series, which were both in Denver, Anthony Edwards has completely taken over, and he's been the best player on both teams by far. I think that the Timberwolves have given the Nuggets something which they did not expect, and I think that playing the Lakers so much probably made them have a flawed idea of what the Timberwolves were going to have in store for them. But Anthony Edwards has just been beating on the Nuggets, very successfully. He scored 43 in the first game, 27 in the second. And he's been really the best player on earth. And his team, the culture that he set and the way that they're playing is one of one. If they can get the next game at home, then that's a 3-0, and that basically means that the series is over. And outplaying Jokic, and the Nuggets are getting out coached, which is something honestly kind of beautiful to seeing as if Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves win this series, that means that someone who doesn't have a championship will 100% win it, like a superstar which doesn't have a championship. And if that happens, which I do want to see it happen, that would be beautiful, a beautiful moment for the league. Also, I hope that Reggie Jackson gets better. But let's face it, that's amazing, and I hope that everything is okay. But with Reggie Jackson, but what's amazing is the games are amazing, not the injury. But I do hope that the Timberwolves and the Nuggets series keeps on going like this. They've been great games, and honestly, they've been very fun to watch. I am not preying on the Nuggets' downfall. I just do think that the games and seeing the Nuggets lose has been pretty refreshing as opposed to just seeing them dominate every single series.